Alright guys, my name is Shervin. Welcome to my channel. As you can see, we have a little bit of a different setup today. And the reason for that is because we're doing something a little bit different, and that is asking AI all sorts of personal finance questions and seeing what it has to say. Now, as many of you know, I've previously covered all sorts of topics about personal finance and investing on this channel. And I was just wondering, what happens if you ask Chat GPT about any of those topics? Is it going to give you accurate information and helpful tips, or is it going to lead you astray? So I decided, you know what, it will be a really interesting video if I just ask all of those questions from ChatGPT and see what it has to say. But instead of doing it on ChatGPT, we're going to do it on Bing, since the AI is still powered by ChatGPT and it is also connected to the internet, so it can search in real time. So let's go ahead and see what Bing AI has to say about personal finances. But before we get into it, if you are new to my channel, make sure to smash the subscribe button down below and join the community. I make new videos about personal finance and investing on a regular basis. And by subscribing to the channel, you get to see all my new videos right as they come out. Also, if you enjoyed the video and want to support me even more, then do me a favor and smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. But alright, with all that said, let's get right into it. Now let's start off with an easy question. I'm just going to ask, how much money should I keep in my savings account? Alright, so it says the standard recommendation is to have enough to cover 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Now this is correct. Most experts recommend that you keep at least 6 months worth of your expenses in a high interest savings account as an emergency fund. So in that sense, it is absolutely bang on, but it does offer some other information as well. Now it also mentions saving 1 time your salary by 30, 3 times by 40, 6 times by 50, so on and so forth. That is a real recommendation from experts, but the issue is that's not the money you keep in your savings account. So for example, when they say you should have 3 times your salary saved up by the age of 40, that's not all in cash. That's actually your savings and investments combined. And the truth of the matter is you don't want to keep a lot of cash on hand because cash loses value every single year due to inflation. So even though it's important to have 6 months worth of your expenses saved up in cash in a high interest savings account as an emergency fund, that's about all the cash that you want to keep. Now, obviously, if you're saving up for a down payment for a new house, then sure, keep cash for that. But other than that, you don't really want to keep much more cash on hand because that would just be losing value every single year. Instead, you want to invest the rest of your money into long-term, relatively safe investments like broad index funds. This way, that money will grow over the long term and you're not going to lose value to inflation every single year. Speaking of which, what is the best index fund to invest into? Alright, so it's giving us a couple recommendations. Obviously, the S&P 500 is in there a couple of times. I noticed that it's all ETFs, by the way. It only has one mutual fund, which is fine because ETFs are easier to invest into from the normal market. But you don't have to invest into ETFs alone. You could also invest into mutual funds if you believe those are going to do better. But now, speaking of S&P 500, is the S&P 500 a reliable investment over the long term? Yes, academic research tends to agree that the S&P 500 is a good investment in the long term. So there you go. You heard it from the AI itself. Go ahead and invest into S&P 500. By the way, this is not financial advice, just in case someone wants to sue me out there. But yeah, let's follow up with what should beginners do when investing into the stock market for the first time. If you're a beginner, you should start by reading about basic financial statements such as balance sheets, profit and loss, and cash flow statements. Alright, it goes on to talk about determining your risk tolerance, so let's just ask about that. Let's see what it has to say. Should I invest into low risk or high risk investments? Let's say in my 20s, because it does matter when you're investing into it. It depends on your financial goals and risk tolerance. If you're in your 20s and have a long-term investment horizon, you may want to consider investing in higher risk investments such as stocks. So there you go, what I've been telling you all along on this channel. If you're in your 20s and 30s, you want to go higher risk. As you get closer to retirement, you want to go with low risk investments such as bonds or GICs or CDs. And that's how you should approach it, because when you're younger, it's all about building wealth. But as you get closer to retirement, it's mostly about preserving your wealth and not so much about maximizing the value on every single dollar. But now we asked a lot about investing. Let's ask some other personal finance questions. So let's just start with, how can I save on taxes? There are many ways to save on taxes, such as contributing to a retirement account, taking advantage of tax deductions, and considering lesser known tax credits. Alright, so it's kind of vague, but it is correct. Now, I also want to ask it about debt repayment, and I'm just wondering if it's going to be able to analyze which type of debt is higher interest than other types. So I'm just going to go with a kind of a complicated one. I'm just going to say I have $10,000 in credit card debt, $30,000 in student loans, $12,000 in medical loans, $20,000 in car loans, $450,000 of remaining mortgage on my house. In which order should I pay off these debts? All right, so it's saying there are 4 basic strategies for prioritizing debt repayments. Well, that's cool and all, but can you prioritize it for me, please? I'm just gonna say, rank my debts in the order of highest to lowest interest rate. I'm sorry, I don't have that information. Come on, you have that information. You can search the whole internet. Surely you can see which one on average has a higher interest rate. In fact, let's maybe specify a little bit more. Let's say on average, how do the following debts rank in terms of interest rates? All right, so it does have the information. There it is. On average, the interest rate for credit cards is around 16%. It's even higher right now because of the high interest rates. Car loans usually have lower interest rate than credit cards, but higher than mortgages and student loans. And it's saying it's around 4.21%. It's saying the average interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is around 3.25%, which is that really the average? I would have thought it was more because I know a lot of people have a low interest rate mortgage, but that doesn't apply to every single person. Especially if you have a variable rate mortgage, those can jump up quite a bit. In fact, right now they're crazy high. So I don't know about that figure, but let's just go with it for now, I guess. The average interest rate for federal student loans is around 3.73%. Again, I'm not sure where it got all this information from, but let's just go with it for now. So would you say I should pay off these debts in that order? Oh, look at this. It's up to you to decide which order to pay off your debts based on your financial situation and goals. What? No, just pay off the higher interest one first. Surely, whatever your financial situation and goals are, surely you should just do that. Like, what kind of a goal is going to make you pay off the lower interest one first and keep the higher interest one? That just makes no sense. I'm sorry. Dear Bing, you've been doing very well, but that's an L right there. I'm sorry. That just makes no sense whatsoever. But that's okay. Let's move on. Now, what are some good side hustle ideas that do not require, let's say, specialized skill, but are relatively profitable? All right, so it's given us a list, and there you go, dog walking. I've said this forever. The best side hustle for those who are looking for an extra source of income is dog walking. Those things are very profitable and so easy to do. It's also mentioning freelancing, so you can think of Fiverr or something like that. Driving for Uber, delivering food or groceries. So yeah, a bunch of generic stuff, nothing crazy here. Now, of course, the question that I'm sure all of you were thinking of, how much does the average YouTuber make a year? The amount of money a YouTuber makes varies depending on many factors, such as number of views. Yeah, obviously. What is it on average, though? On average, a YouTuber earns about $29 per hour. Oh, interesting. And it's also saying a YouTuber on average earns about $0.018 for each view, which amounts to $18 for every 1,000 views. That's actually pretty accurate. Now, it does depend on what kind of content you're making. Now, for me, it's slightly higher than that number, but for a lot of people, it is actually lower than that. So it does sound about right to be the average. Forbes also estimates that for top talent, a YouTuber can make about $5 for every 1,000 video views. Now, a big reason for that is because a lot of the top content producers are people who have a lower CPM. For example, if you look at channels like Mr. Beast, he doesn't have that high of a CPM because his content isn't that specialized. It's mostly just game shows for entertainment purposes, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that on YouTube, those kinds of videos make a lower amount per view compared to other videos. But at least for people like Mr. Beast, that doesn't matter because he gets so many views that he blows everyone out of the water anyways. But now the age-old question. How can I save more money and spend less? Use budgeting apps to get a clear understanding of where your money goes. Fantastic advice. Budgeting is the #1 way to improve your personal finances because if you don't even know where your money is going, then how are you going to improve in any way? It's impossible. You got to first find out where exactly is your money going, and then and only then can you come up with a plan to save more and spend less. Now, I'm not really big on the second one, lock your credit cards to avoid overspending. If you have to go out of your way to lock your credit card, then maybe you should just not have any credit cards in the first place. Set saving goals and track your progress. I would say actually try to save 6 months worth of your expenses as soon as you possibly can. If you don't have that amount saved, you got to do that immediately. Don't spend money on anything. Make sure you save up as much as possible. And then once you have at least 6 months worth of your expenses saved up in a high interest savings account, only then can you ease up a little bit. There's a bunch of generic advice like utilize thrift stores, use coupons, stuff like that. But then this one, I don't know why this one is number 7. This should be number 1. Get a fixed rate mortgage to avoid fluctuating interest rates. I mean, over the past year or so, so many people have found out the hard way how horrible the variable interest rate model is. Because just like that, overnight, your mortgage payments can go up 2-folds out of nowhere. So yeah, absolutely avoid fluctuating interest rates like the plague. Just go with fixed rates. In the end, it says reduce your streaming services to only what you need. I would actually go a step further and say make sure you cancel any subscriptions that you're not actually using. Because we've all been there when we stop using a service and we just think that, oh, we've already canceled it, but turns out we haven't actually canceled that service. And they're just charging us money every single month without us even realizing it. So yeah, make sure to go through all your statements and see if there is any streaming service that is charging you money that you're not actually using. Cancel that thing immediately. But all right, before we close this video, I gotta ask the most important question. Should I subscribe to Shervin House's YouTube channel? Please say yes. Please say yes. I swear to God, if it says something like, oh no, don't bother, I'm gonna lose it. All right, let's see. Oh, it's actually searching for my channel. That's kind of cool. All right, let's see what it says. Shervin House is a YouTuber who creates content about personal finance and investing. He has a YouTube channel where he shares his knowledge and expertise on these topics. If you're interested in learning more about personal finance and investing, then subscribing to his channel might be a good idea. My man, that's my man right there. So you heard it here, folks. Bing said it. I didn't say it. If you haven't done so already, make sure to smash the subscribe button down below and join the community. Feel free to follow me on social media. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shervin House. As always, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about in this video, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I always respond to every single question that comes in. And now with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.